What is up, everybody? Jeremy Ice and Fire here, and welcome to the channel. And today, we're taking a look at the complete history of House Targaryen and the Iron Throne. From the reign of Aegon the Conqueror, all the way to the Mad King Aerys and the rebellion that eventually brought House Targaryen crumbling down. House Targaryen was unlike any house that had ever set foot on Westeros. Hailing from the mighty empire of Old Valyria, they brought their customs, dragons, and way of life to Westeros along with them, and would go on to change the history of the Seven Kingdoms forever. Kicking things off, we have Aegon Targaryen, first of his name, aka Aegon the Conqueror. Aegon was born in 27 BC at Dragonstone to parents Aerion Targaryen and Valenna Velaryon, and reigned from 1 AC to 37 AC, and was the first Targaryen king of Westeros. Before Aegon, the Seven Kingdoms were exactly that, 7 different kingdoms with 7 different rulers. It wasn't until Aegon, along with his sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya, forged Westeros into one by capturing 6 of the 7 kingdoms during Aegon's conquest, with the help of their dragons, of course, Balerion, Meraxes, and Vhagar. After securing 6 of the 7 kingdoms, with the exception of Dorne, who managed to resist Aegon and his dragons, Aegon had a massive chair constructed using the swords of his conquered enemies that he collected during the conquest. Using his dragon Balerion, Aegon forged the swords into the ultimate seat of power in Westeros, the Iron Throne, and thus began the reign of the Targaryen dynasty. Up next we have Aenys Targaryen, first of his name. Aenys was born in 7 AC at Dragonstone and was the first son of Aegon the Conqueror and Rhaenys Targaryen. He reigned from 37 AC to 42 AC and was the second Targaryen king to sit the Iron Throne. Aenys was very sickly as a child and very different from his father Aegon, so much to the point that it was rumored that perhaps his father may have been one of the singers or mummers that Rhaenys delighted in. Aenys was 3 years old when his mother died in Dorne. It wasn't until Aenys was given his own hatchling dragon named Quicksilver that his condition began to improve. As the dragon grew, so did Aenys. Yet Aenys' rule was anything but peaceful. Within 1 year of his reign, multiple uprisings rose throughout the realm, and with King Aenys being too indecisive to act, it was up to the lords of Westeros, along with King Aenys' younger brother Maegor, to deal with the threats. Then, Aenys and his brother had a falling out in which Maegor was exiled for 5 years to Pentos, during which there was another uprising from the High Septon and the Faith Militant. After an attempt on Aenys' life in King's Landing, he left the capital for Dragonstone, where he would remain until his death in 42 AC. Up next we have Maegor Targaryen, aka Maegor the Cruel. Maegor was born in 12 AC at Dragonstone and was the second son to Aegon the Conqueror and wife of Visenya, and was the third Targaryen king to sit the throne. Maegor was a true warrior and took to the sword at a very early age. In 28 AC, he defeated 3 knights of the Kingsguard in joust and went on to win the melee during the royal tourney, earning him much renown. Maegor was knighted by his father at the age of 16, making him the youngest knight in the realm at the time. In 37 AC, Maegor would go on to claim Balerion the Black Dread after the death of his father, a mount that Maegor coveted for a long time. Then, in 42 AC, after the death of his older brother Aenys, Maegor claimed the Iron Throne for himself, usurping and killing his nephew Aegon II in the process. During his reign, Maegor took charge of the construction of the Red Keep, adding tons of hidden passages and tunnels throughout. Upon its completion, in 45 AC, Maegor threw a feast for all those who worked on the construction of the Red Keep, only to have all of them killed in order to protect the secrets of the castle. Despite only ruling for 6 years, Maegor's reign is considered to be one of the bloodiest times in the history of Westeros. Up next we have Jaehaerys Targaryen, first of his name, also known as the Old King. Jaehaerys was born in 34 AC at King's Landing to parents Aenys Targaryen and Alyssa Velaryon, and reigned from 48 AC until the time of his death in 103 AC, and was the 4th Targaryen king to sit the Iron Throne. He ascended to the throne after the death of his uncle, Maegor the Cruel. Jaehaerys would go on to be the longest reigning Targaryen king, holding the throne for well over 50 years. Jaehaerys rode the dragon Vermithor, the third largest dragon behind Balerion and Vhagar at the time. Jaehaerys' reign was long and prosperous. Having inherited a kingdom that was much in turmoil, Jaehaerys did a really good job at healing the realm. He managed to reconcile the faith and the crown by offering pardons to all of the faith militant who rose up in rebellion during Maegor's reign, and Jaehaerys promised that the crown would protect the faith going forward. Jaehaerys would go on to marry his sister, Queen Alysanne Targaryen, also known as the Good Queen, in 51 AC. The two would go on to have a long and prosperous reign and ruled for many years to come. Up next we have Viserys I Targaryen. Viserys was born in 77 AC at King's Landing to parents Baelor and Alyssa Targaryen, and was the grandson of the old king Jaehaerys I. Viserys came to power in 103 AC after the death of the old king and was the fifth Targaryen to sit the Iron Throne. Much of Viserys' reign was peaceful, but the seeds of civil war, known as the Dance of the Dragons, were initially planted during his reign. Viserys was also a dragon rider, the last dragon rider, in fact, to ever ride the dragon Balerion the Black Dread. After claiming Balerion, he would attempt to fly the dragon to Dragonstone, but the dragon was very old at that time and wasn't able to make the journey. Viserys was a peaceful man who hated conflict. He was described as open-handed and easy to please. Though he was never really considered strong-willed, he was also not a pushover as well. When Viserys made a decision, he usually stood firmly by it. House Targaryen was considered to be at its most powerful during Viserys' reign, having the largest number of dragons since the Doom of Valyria at 18. Viserys reigned until the time of his death in 129 AC at the age of 52. His death would later kick off the devastating Targaryen civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons. Up next we have Aegon II Targaryen, also known as Aegon the Elder. Aegon was born in 107 AC at King's Landing to parents Viserys Targaryen and Alicent Hightower, and was the sixth Targaryen king to sit the throne. He ruled from 129 AC to 131 AC during the Targaryen Civil War known as the Dance of the Dragons. Aegon's dragon Sunfire was said to be the most beautiful of the Targaryen dragons. After the death of his father Viserys in 129 AC, the Civil War broke out when Aegon and his sister Rhaenyra both tried claiming the throne. Originally opposed to the idea of taking the throne, Aegon was convinced to press his claim after a member of the Kingsguard, Sir Criston Cole, convinced him that Rhaenyra would have him and his brothers killed. The war would go on to decimate not only House Targaryen, but most of the dragons as well. Up next we have Aegon III Targaryen, aka Aegon the Younger. Aegon was born in 120 AC at Dragonstone to parents Daemon Targaryen and Rhaenyra Targaryen, and was the seventh Targaryen king to sit the throne, and ruled from 131 AC to 157 AC after he succeeded his uncle Aegon II at the conclusion of the Dance of the Dragons. In 129 AC, Aegon the Younger bonded with his dragon Stormcloud and claimed it as his mount. Then Aegon would go on to marry Princess Jaehaerys Targaryen and successfully unite the two warring factions of House Targaryen started in the dance. Aegon III would later become known as Aegon Dragonsbane, as the last living Targaryen dragon hatched during his rule. It was said to be no bigger than a cat. Up next we have Daeron I Targaryen, aka the Young Dragon. Daeron was born in 143 AC at King's Landing and was the eighth Targaryen king to sit the Iron Throne. He ruled from 157 AC to 161 AC. Born to parents Aegon III Targaryen and Rhaenyra Velaryon, he ascended to the throne at the age of 14 and is famous for his invasion of Dorne, the one kingdom that Aegon the Conqueror was unable to take. After several battles, the Prince of Dorne and 2 scored Dornish lords bent the knee in the submission of Sunspear in 158 AC. He became the first Targaryen to conquer Dorne and successfully unite all 7 kingdoms. Up next we have Baelor I Targaryen, also known as Baelor the Blessed. Baelor was born in 144 AC at King's Landing to parents Aegon III Targaryen and Rhaenyra Velaryon, and was the 9th Targaryen king to sit the Iron Throne. Baelor reigned from 161 AC to 171 AC and was well known for his piety, and was a septon as well as a king. Baelor married his younger sister Daena Targaryen in 160 AC, but refused to consummate the marriage. Wanting to bind up the wounds of his brother Daeron's wars in Dorne, Baelon's first act as king was to release the 14 hostages and send them back to Dorne. In Sunspear, Baelor forged a peace with the Prince of Dorne. History says Baelor starved himself to death by prolonged fasting to cleanse himself of lust, but some believe he was poisoned by the hand of the king Viserys, his uncle. Some say Viserys did it to claim the throne, others say that he did it for the good of the realm to stop Baelor's plan to convert all non-believers into the faith of the Seven, which potentially could have started a war with the North, who worship the old gods. Up next we have Viserys II Targaryen. Viserys was born in 122 AC at Dragonstone to parents Daemon and Rhaenyra Targaryen, and was the 10th Targaryen king to sit the throne. He reigned from 171 AC to 172 AC. Viserys II ascended to the throne at the age of 49. Although his reign lasted little over a year, Viserys issued reforms of the royal household and its functions, established a new royal mint, and made efforts to increase trade across the Narrow Sea. Although Viserys II wasn't fondly remembered, there are some that say the previous reigns would have been much worse if not for his tenure as Hand of the King. He died in 172 AC at the age of 50. Up next we have Aegon IV Targaryen, also known as Aegon the Unworthy. Aegon was born in 135 AC at King's Landing to parents Viserys II and Lara Rogaire, and was the 11th Targaryen king to sit the throne. He reigned from 172 AC to 184 AC, and was considered one of the worst Targaryen kings in the history of Westeros. He sired numerous bastards during his reign, and then on his deathbed he legitimized all of them, an act that led to 5 different Targaryen civil wars that would become known as the Blackfyre Rebellions. Up next we have Daeron II Targaryen. Daeron was born in 153 AC at King's Landing to parents Aegon IV and Aerys Targaryen, and was the 12th Targaryen king to sit the throne. He ruled from 184 AC to 209 AC. During his reign, he successfully managed to bring Dorne back into the fold peacefully, and was the first Targaryen to unite all 7 kingdoms without war. His rule was later challenged by his half-brother Daemon Blackfyre, who was legitimized by his father Aegon the Unworthy on his deathbed, an act which led to the first of 5 Blackfyre rebellions. Daeron would later on die during the Great Spring Sickness in 209 AC. Up next we have Aerys I Targaryen. Aerys was born in 172 AC at King's Landing to parents Daeron II Targaryen and Myra Martell, and was the 13th Targaryen to sit the throne. He ruled from 209 AC to 221 AC. Aerys' reign was troubled by war. In 212 AC, Lord Dagon Greyjoy led an Ironborn raid on Fair Isle, the Arbor, and the North. That same year, a Blackfyre loyalist brought Daemon Blackfyre II to the 7 kingdoms from across the Narrow Sea, which kicked off the Second Blackfyre Rebellion. But with the help of his hand, Brynden Rivers' network of spies, plus the actions of Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire Egg, the rebellion ended with very little bloodshed. Then, in 219 AC, a third Blackfyre rebellion was launched, which ended in the capture of Aegor Rivers, another one of Aegon IV's legitimized Targaryen bastards, and the death of Haegon Blackfyre. Aerys would go on to rule for another 2 years until the time of his death in 221 AC. Up next we have Maekar Targaryen. Maekar was born in 174 AC at King's Landing to parents Daeron Targaryen II and Myra Martell, and was the 14th Targaryen king to sit the throne. He ruled from 221 AC to 233 AC. Maekar was a capable battle commander. Having served in 2 Blackfire rebellions, he came to power after an unexpected number of deaths made him next in line for the throne. Maegor ruled until 233 AC, when he fell in battle fighting against a rebellious lord on the Dornish marches. Up next we have Aegon V Targaryen, also known as Egg. Egg was born in 200 AC at King's Landing to parents Maekar Targaryen and Daeron Dane, and was the 15th Targaryen king. He ruled from 233 AC to 259 AC. Egg became king after the Great Council bypassed a number of candidates earlier in the line of succession. Much of Aegon V's earlier life is told in the Duncan Egg novellas. Egg's rule was long and prosperous up until the tragedy that took place at Summerhall. Little is known about how the fire started, but we know by the time it was over, both Aegon and Dunk would perish. There are tons of rumors surrounding what happened at the tragedy of Summerhall, most popular of which was that Aegon was trying to hatch dragon eggs when something went horribly wrong and the fire consumed all inside, most likely wildfire, as we know how volatile it can be. Up next we have Jaehaerys II Targaryen. Jaehaerys was born in 225 AC at King's Landing to parents Aegon V and Betha Blackwood, and was the 16th Targaryen king to sit the throne. He ruled from 259 AC to 262 AC. During the War of the Ninepenny Kings, the last Blackfire pretender, Maelys the Monstrous, rose up in rebellion. Wanting to end the Blackfire threat once and for all, he called his banners and assembled an army. In 260 AC, the Targaryen armies landed at the Stepstones. The fighting would last most of the year until Sir Barristan Selmy, also known as Barristan the Bold, slew Maelys the Monstrous in single combat, putting an end to the final Blackfire rebellion. And last, but certainly not least, we have Aerys II Targaryen, also known as the Mad King. Aerys was born in 244 AC at King's Landing to parents Jaehaerys II and Shaera Targaryen, and was the 17th and final of the Targaryen kings to sit the Iron Throne. He ruled from 262 AC to 283 AC. Aerys II was known as the Mad King and would go down in history as one of the cruelest Targaryen kings to ever sit the throne. When Aerys' son Rhaegar kidnapped Lyanna Stark, a rebellion broke out, led by Robert Baratheon, Lyanna's betrothed, and Eddard Stark, Lyanna's brother, that would effectively end the Targaryen dynasty. Robert would go on to kill Rhaegar Targaryen at the Battle of the Trident, and Aerys, the Mad King, would end up being killed by a member of his own Kingsguard, Sir Jaime Lannister. From there on, Robert would go on to claim the Iron Throne, being the first king in Westeros that wasn't a Targaryen since the days of Aegon's conquest. There is, of course, one notable addition that I would be remiss if I did not mention, that of Rhaenyra Targaryen, who was technically the very first and only ruling queen of Westeros. While her name may be absent from the official list of Targaryen monarchs that have sat the Iron Throne, she did indeed successfully take it for a time during the Dance of the Dragons. Rhaenyra Targaryen was born in 97 AC, and ruled from 129 AC to the time of her death in 130 AC. After the death of King Viserys I, there was a massive power struggle and civil war among House Targaryen for control of the Iron Throne. Even though Viserys wished that Rhaenyra would inherit the Iron Throne upon his death, there were some who still thought a woman was not capable of leading the Seven Kingdoms, and favored his eldest son Aegon instead, which led to the devastating conflict known as the Dance of the Dragons, when Targaryen fought Targaryen and Dragon fought Dragon for control of Westeros. Little did they know it at the time, but the Dance of the Dragons would prove to be the beginning of the end for House Targaryen's dynasty. Before the war began, House Targaryen was at the height of their power, counting almost 24 living dragons, the most in the history of their reign. And upon war's end, there would be only 4 living dragons left alive, with only one remaining under Targaryen control. with the complete and total extinction of the dragons coming not long after. With the source of their power now gone, every Targaryen rule that would follow would be more diminished than the last. House Targaryen would proceed to limp on for a few more generations until the time of Robert's Rebellion, where he and Ned Stark would go on to crush the Targaryen dynasty for good. House Targaryen attempted to establish a dynasty that would go on to last for thousands of years, and if it wasn't for the devastating events of the Dance of the Dragons, they very well may have. But there we have it, folks, the complete list of official and unofficial monarchs that have ever sat the Iron Throne in the history of Westeros. And definitely leave your thoughts in comments down below. Which Targaryen reign was your favorite overall? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like on your way out and consider subscribing to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.